here today with Jamie MacPhail. He's the Corporate Secretary and Communications Officer with Amalgamated Dairies Limited in Summerside, PEI, to kind of get a sense on the dairy industry and what's going on over the past couple of weeks in terms of COVID-19. Welcome today, Jamie.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show, and thanks for this opportunity to give an update to Islanders and your followers on what the impact of COVID-19's had on the dairy industry, our staff, and where I kind of see things over the next couple months going to.
Maybe I can jump in, I guess. Thanks very much, Jamie. I know as a young kid, I used to live, my grandparents are from up west, and I'd always take the pails of milk and cream, not separated, into the ADL separation facility, I think in O'Leary. So it's a pretty substantial employer. It's got a big impact for the island. What's happening in your facility? Clearly the cows are still being milked. It's probably difficult to get product to market. How is ADL adapting to this?
Yeah, so what many don't realize is that ADL does now have 300 employees over 5 facilities across PEI. It is a cooperative that is owned by 160 PEI dairy farmers. So every dairy farmer is a member owner of ADL. Obviously, our industry is undifferent than any other across PEI in Canada and the globe. It's been impacted by COVID-19, will continue to be impacted. But as an essential service in the food supply chain, we play a critical role, and ADL staff, right from our producer owners right through to our production staff, our delivery staff, and obviously our merchandisers have all risen to the challenge. There's been changes in what products are in demand. Obviously food service taking a big hit, but retail sales are strong, and our staff deserve a lot of credit and recognition, I guess, for the role that they play and will continue to play in the months ahead as we navigate through this crisis.
And what, are you getting much feedback from the farmers themselves? What are they saying in regards to the whole scenario?
Well, I think the interesting thing at the farm level is that whether it's a pandemic or a hurricane or a nice hot summer day, the producers have to milk their cows at least twice a day. They've been through challenges before. They're a perseverant group, but obviously they do have fear. They're seeing the market shift a bit. There's been some milk dumped in central Canada, which is causing a bit of fear. I'm happy to report to date we haven't had to dump milk on PEI. But obviously, as a supply managed system, we need to adjust to what the market is demanding. And the leaders in the dairy industry in Canada are dealing with that challenge on a daily basis.
It's good. It is a critical service. I know we drink a lot of milk, a lot of ADL milk in this house. So we're glad that supply hasn't been interrupted. What do you see coming out of this? And I guess another question, you're pretty diversified. You make cheese and a lot of different products. Is there any other elements of the milk product that can be extracted and stored? Have you looked at anything beyond just production of ice cream and milk and cheese and cream? Because there may come a point where you just can't use all the product that's being produced, and great that you haven't had to dump anything yet. Some places have. Is there any other value add longer term play that this product might have?
Yeah, I guess on that question, a great question. Product diversity and innovation is something that is ongoing for ADL. Just in 2019, we released 4 new products into the marketplace. Maple sweetened condensed milk, a cube feta, maple de leche, working with a chef out of Quebec. So we're always looking at new products. And obviously, Blake, I think what this crisis is showing is not necessarily maybe a diverse range of products, but the importance of people buying local and having product on the shelf that they would otherwise may have ventured over and didn't realize the necessity of it, or didn't realize how much they were actually consuming of the product at the food service level. So I think from this crisis, obviously our innovation and product development will continue. It might be enhanced as we see where the trends go in the retail market. I think it's going to take months, if not years, for the economy to come back to where it was. People probably will remain eating at home more, even when we come out of this crisis. So obviously, as a food processor, we're always looking at diversity and innovation to ensure we're meeting the market demand.
And I know in terms of production staff, nothing really has changed, but in terms of the kind of executive level or the management, have you guys kind of, even though working from home, everything's kind of been full steam ahead in terms of operations?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with our production staff. Things haven't changed per se. However, we've taken a number of measures to mitigate risk and protect our staff, and following the advice from the Chief Public Health Officer. We've done our best to segregate crews. We've separated the distance between employees on the production floor. And like all other processors, this does have an impact on volumes that we're putting it through the door each day. Obviously, we can't go at full capacity because we're trying to do our best to mitigate risk. And we've also introduced a screening process for when employees arrive to work. All production staff and admin staff get screened to ensure that they're not showing any signs daily of the COVID-19 virus. On the administrative side, we've done our very best to have as many employees working from home that can. Obviously, our plants are up and running daily, long hours, and we're trying to make sure products on the shelf. So there's some staff that are required to be at work, but again, they're being segregated, having their own offices, and staff are not interacting with each other. So, yeah, we're doing everything we can to mitigate the risk. But again, as an essential service, we can't simply all work from home.
Right, and you're a new dad, and you live in a pretty urban area, downtown Argyle Shore. In terms of, I guess, from a community perspective, how have you realized maybe your neighbors' social distancing and adhering to what the chief public health officer has been saying?
Yeah, it's absolutely astonishing to live in a community that where neighbors visit neighbors and family visits family very often and frequently. I never thought in my lifetime I'd see not only rural PEI shut down, but city shut down. And it's there's some elements of this I see very positive. Spending more time with family, again, eating more quality food at home, in finding ways to interact with colleagues and people from across the country via technology. I think a lot of ways how we interact with each other are going to change following this, including both personal and business.
What do you think, Jamie, coming out of this? So I actually listened to an economist today that said, this isn't as relevant to your business, but it'll affect it. This could be the deepest recession since post-war era. And it could be a couple of years before we resume to any kind of normal sort of functioning economy. You've diversified, people are working from home, you've adapted very well. Can this process continue? Like, is ADL equipped to kind of continue the production, manage the staff lines, keep people working from home? If this were to, persist well past the summer, is it something is it a risk to the food security of the economy at this?
Yeah, I think again, a great question. Obviously, we've taken extreme measures on the IT security side of things to protect the staff that are working from home. Our key production staff are going to work. Our quality control staff are going to work. Our lab staff, our production staff, and obviously our merchandisers and drivers. So a vast majority of ADL staff are having to go to work just due to the necessity and role that they play. The staff that are working from home, there's been increased IT measures taken to ensure that our systems are protected. But obviously that's a evolving issue, and we'll be always reevaluating it on a weekly basis to ensure that we are protected and mitigating all risk.
We appreciate all the insight you're giving. You're a pretty popular fellow. You're on Ocean 100 already, I guess last week, but you're well sought after. Do you have any other media requests coming up?
I don't know if Fox News is trying to get a hold of me, but I'd hate to tell them the truth.
It's fair enough. Any other questions you had, Blake?
Just in general, I guess, I'm really, you touched on it a bit earlier, Jamie, as far as supporting local. And maybe you could just refresh how many local producers there are, the scale of ADL, and when you're making your choices at the grocery store, which is really the only option people have. There's very little commercial trade. What's the diversity of products that are locally produced that people should be considering when making a purchase?
Yeah, appreciate that, Blake. And obviously, buying local has mattered to ADL long before the crisis. And I'll speak of local in terms of Canadian. I think we need to look beyond just our border here on PEI and make sure we're supporting Canadian. 90% of the products we process at ADL leave PEI. They all carry the Blue Cow logo, which certifies that they're made with 100% PEI and Canadian milk. But obviously, I encourage consumers, not just in the dairy sector, but all sectors, to do whatever they can to support their local business. Those folks are your neighbors. Particularly, a lot of them are small businesses, and they're going to need all the support they can get, both through this crisis and after. And again, I think you're going to see a real change in focus in terms of globalization and how people do business. I think local is going to matter in a big way, and there's going to be a major push to do local. So we're proud to be a local company. We appreciate the support of Islanders through this and always, and we'll continue to do everything we can for the community to ensure that we come out of this stronger than ever.
Well, we certainly appreciate your time today. Hopefully in the near future, we can have an ice cold glass of milk together sometime. There you go. Cheers to that. If for those who can't see, is Jamie holding up some chocolate milk. But yeah, we won't keep you much longer. We appreciate your time again, and we appreciate what ADL is doing to kind of keep the economy going in terms of our dairy farmers and our local economy. So we thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much, Sam. I just want to end on one last note again, thanking our staff at ADL for everything they do, and retail staff, whether that be grocery store, delivery drivers, hospital workers, first responders. A wave or a nod is very much appreciated, and we need to make sure we're recognizing these critical folks at this time.
Right on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.